Hello and welcome to King's Bounty. This will be part one. Some time ago, I did an overview review kind of thing of this game, and in that video, I said something that wasn't particularly accurate and made a statement that has been invalidated by the fact that I'm making this video. I claimed in that video that the knight didn't have any magical ability at all, which is not true. The barbarian doesn't start with any magical ability, but once it's ranked up, will gain magical ability. It's a minor thing because I'm not going to play either class. And that is where my statement I made at a point where I said I couldn't contemplate trying to complete this game has now been invalidated. There was a person many years ago that said, "You have an opinion until you change it." The main reason being that I have been too absent on making content on the channel, and I will be aiming to do some shorter form playthroughs of various different games in order to have regular content. In the overview kind of stuff video thing, I played on easy difficulty level, which I'm not going to do in this video or in this series. But I don't want to play anything too difficult either because my experience with this game is very limited. I haven't touched it since I made that video. For that reason, and because of the thematic reason, I do enjoy the idea of a knight in shiny armor whose sole purpose is to protect the innocent and be a guide, a beacon for other people. I will be choosing to play the paladin. The game's own definition of the three or the four classes, even as in order of difficulty, the knight and barbarian are roughly equal, and then the paladin, and finally the sorcerer being the most challenging. So we shall select a paladin, and I always use the name Gallagher for paladins. It is my variation of Galahad. Nothing else, there's no other reference to it. I think Galahad is so common. Normal will give us 600 days to save the kingdom. In case you didn't watch the story video, which I don't necessarily blame you. A very, 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 very quick recap is that the four continents of this world are ruled by King Maximus, and he possesses the Scepter of Order, which ties him to the land, and because of him being in possession of the Scepter of Order, Order will be dominant in the four continents. And there's an evil dragon called Eric Dragon Breath who doesn't fancy the fact that the king is on the throne, and some prophecies are purely by chance discovered, where the information is found that if the king loses the Scepter of Order, he can be replaced. So the evil dragon makes a pact with a demon king, because that's the only other king that's available apparently, and gets the Scepter of Order stolen from King Maximus. And the king is now dying. And as soon as he dies, the dragon can place the demon on the throne, and chaos will rule the four continents, which is probably something you don't necessarily want. So the player's task is to select a champion, build up forces, and go out and search for map pieces, because the dragon, for some bizarre reason, decided to make a map as to where it hit the scepter. I was just wondering whether it maybe was considering the fact that it could regret its decision and hand the scepter back to the king or something. I don't know, but it made a map which it split into 25 pieces, retained the most important piece, which is the piece describing exactly where the scepter is located, but then handed out 16 map pieces to its minions and hit the remaining 8 under various different artifacts. Because no one will pick up artifacts and discover the map piece. No, I'm not going to go too far in that direction. But anyway, that is the order of the day, and I will be clicking on normal, and the game will be creating the game world, and I will see you once that is done. So here we are. Quickly brushing through the interface so we are all on the same page. 600 days left to save the kingdom. That is how long King Maximus can stay alive. It's nice of him to know exactly how long it will take him to give up the ghost, but that is the time limit. This block here indicates any contracts we have, because the minions that's been given the map pieces, we need to have a contract in order to capture them. If we don't have a contract and we defeat them in a siege, then they will run off to another castle, so you have to chase them down again, which is something to be avoided. The icon underneath here is siege weapons. You need a siege weapon to lay siege for some bizarre reason. And if we have obtained one, which will cost 3,000 gold pieces, this icon will be lit up. Our magical casting ability icon thing is the next one here. You can see it's not grayed out, it's browned out if you want. And that means that even though we do have spell power as a paladin, we cannot actually cast spells before we've been taught to do so. But that costs 5,000 gold pieces, which we don't want to spend money on just now. So, now underneath that you have this puzzle box thing. There are 25 squares, and the map is split into 25 pieces, so you can likely imagine that those two are connected. And then we have a description of our class. Gargle the Paladin. The reason it's mentioning the Paladin is the fact that once you get promoted, your class name will change. Leadership 80. Very, very briefly, leadership defines how many hit points worth of units you can control. An army can consist of 5 units, and thankfully it's not a combined total of 80 hit points across all 5 units, because that way you wouldn't be able to have an army of any kind. But each unit can, with our current leadership, have a total of 80 hit points. If you look at something like Dragon, which is the most powerful unit in the game, they have 250 hit points. So it would be a bit challenging for us currently to control a dragon. But you can increase your leadership, and as you rank up, you will get more leadership. And there's one of the artifacts available which will actually double the leadership. There's also spells that can temporarily increase your leadership. But the knight and the barbarian starts with 100, and the sorcerer starts with 60. That is the main difference between the other classes, and because leadership is the driving factor in this game, it is what defines the challenge level of a character class, basically. Commission per week, that is how much the king gives us per week to support our cause. You can increase those numbers as well. As you rank up, you will get a higher commission. You can find various different things that will increase your commission, and if you capture castles and garrison them, it will increase your commission. Not as much as you would like it to, but it will definitely increase your commission. So there are various different ways of increasing that. The gold, that is how much money we have on hand, and I'm fairly sure the paladin and the sorcerers start with the most money, which is in our case 10,000. Spell power, it defines the strength of spells, which is hardly surprising. But the max number of spells is how many spells you're gonna have at any given point. And there's what is it, 14 different spells, something like that. And we can have 3 in total. So we can't have all 14 different spells currently. But just like with the leadership, there is various different ways that the maximum number of spells can be increased. It's another thing that will be improving if we rank up. Villain's Court. In order to get promoted, you need to catch a certain amount of villains, and in the case of the paladin, we need to catch 2 villains to get the first promotion. It will list it says 17, you have captured them all. Artifacts found. How many of the 8 artifacts we have found? There will be 2 per continent. So as we dabble around, we hopefully can find them. They are somewhat powerful. Castles garrisoned, as I was just mentioning earlier, you can improve your commission per week by having castles garrisoned, and it just states how many we have. Followers killed. It is a negative modifier for your score, because there's a score value connected to the other things, and you will get -1 point for every follower you got killed. And the game doesn't care whether you lose a peasant or lose a dragon. It is 1 point per follower. So if the score is super important, then you want to try to avoid losing too many followers. I'm not going to be too concerned about score on this series here. These 8 blocks are slots for the artifacts. The 4 maps you can see, 3 of them is grayed out. In order to travel to the other continents, we need to find the map for the next continent, and we are on continent 1, so you can only find the map for continent 2, and when you are on continent 2, you can only find the map for continent 3, and you need to find the 4th one on continent 3. They have various different themes and various different minions, of course. You can likely imagine that the most challenging minions will likely be on the last continent. One more thing to go over: our army description. We have peasants and we have militia. Apparently this is a decent starting force, but whatever. We have 20 of each, and you can see 20 peasants have 20 hit points, and that's total. So they have 1 hit point each. They will do 1 damage each, so that's why the damage is 20 to 20. And they cost 20 gold pieces, 1 gold piece each to in upkeep, I think it's called. Militia, skill level 2. They have 2 hit points each, they do 1 to 2 damage, and they cost 5 gold pieces each. There are 5 skill levels, so the higher the skill level, the more powerful the unit. There are certain unit types that requires that you have been promoted in rank in order to hire them. But the higher skill level, the better. The morale. There are certain units that will like each other, and there are certain units that doesn't really like each other. And there is a few combinations that can give you higher morale, but it is a bit cumbersome to work out because you need to find very specific units because they love each other instead of just accepting each other. But the main thing to avoid is to have low morale because it negatively affects your unit's combat abilities and damage numbers and that kind of stuff. If you have one of your main units that doesn't like another unit, it will give every single unit in the entire army low morale. So it's something to be mindful of. But I've been yapping enough here. We can start by changing some things. The walk beep. Want to get rid of that? I wish I could get rid of the error beep when you try to walk into a location you can't reach, but whatever, it is what it is. And the delay. It's the combat delay. I want to set that to fast. And finally, dismiss army. I don't want bloody peasants in my army. They're useless. So, let us enter the king's castle. Yeah, we can recruit some soldiers and we can have an audience with the king, so let us get that done. Trumpets announce your arrival with regal fanfare. King Maximus rises from his throne to greet you and proclaims, "My dear Gallagher, I can aid you better after you've captured two more villains." And basically, this is our promotion goal thing. But we need to get some troops. Want some archers, and based on our leadership, we can hire 8 of them. And we want some pikemen, and we can also hire 8 of those. Something to be said for castle units. They are decent units, they're not exactly the best, but they're all under one roof. So, next step is to head down to this, which is a city, town thing. Town of Hunterville. We can get a new contract, which we may as well just do now. Why not? Name Murray the Miser. Alias None. Reward 5,000 gold. Last seen Continentia, which is the name of the continent we are currently in on, whatever, in an unknown castle. Distinguishing features: threadbare clothes, bald patch with hair combed to covered, incessant cough. Crimes: Murray is wanted for various petty crimes as well as for treason. He allowed a group of pirates to enter the castle and free criminals. Then we can gather information. Castle Wutar is under Murray the Miser's rule. A lot of peasants, many wolves, many militia, many peasants, many peasants. The definition of a lot or many and things like that, I will edit a description in that showcases what it means, because it signifies a number. Something to be aware of is the fact that we can't do what the AI can do, or the computer can do. AI is too advanced a word. We can't have multiple stacks of the same type of unit, which is a bit of a shame. Because, I mean, if you have 50 ranged units, if you could split them into 2 sets, you could have 2 times 25 attacking 2 different sets of enemies. But you can't do that. You have 1 stack of whatever you hire. And some of the minions you will fight against will have some shared stacks of very, very powerful ranged units. So it is a bit meh. We gather the information, which is the closest hostile castle, or if you capture a castle and garrison it, it will tell you that you own it. And then you can buy a spell. Hunter will always have the bridge spell, but every other city will be random for each game. That city will only sell that one spell. So if you find the Firefall spell in a certain town, you will always be able to buy that in that game, in that town. Then we can buy siege weapons, which we'll need to do to lay siege, but we don't have the desire nor capacity to do that yet. And I forgot to do what I should be doing, which is to rent a boat, because then we can sail around, and that is much more efficient than doing land travel. So this could be a dwelling, and it could also be a teleport. I hope it's not a teleport. It's a teleport. After surveying the area, you discover that it is rich in mineral deposits. The king rewards you for your find by increasing your weekly income by 21. It doesn't sound like much, but it all adds up. Let's just see what it count us. Up there, cool. So is that another teleport, or is it a dwelling? 100 dwarves? No thanks. The problem is these teleport things, they can send you into a location you don't want to be in. So it's always dicey. It would be nice if they looked slightly different from the dwellings, but whatever. After scouring the area, you fall upon a hidden treasure. You may take the fallen gold or distribute the gold to your peasants, increasing your leadership by 8. Leadership is the defining ability in this game. You cannot understate, overstate, whatever state you call it, the importance of leadership. Another increase in weekly income. Come on, please. So, just do some initial light scouting in this area before moving further. I don't think I can get to that treasure without getting involved in kerfuffle. No, let's just keep going this way. It doesn't matter. This will be the outskirts of the map. So, rather boring, but then it's covered at least. Because of the random nature of things like rewards and treasures and all that kind of stuff, the game can. A few ogres, no thanks. I'll rather pass. The game can put you in a position where you find um, quite a few juicy units, small locations that you would want to hire, but you don't get the leadership to actually hire them, or be able to hire a lot of them. And then you can be in the opposite option where, or position where the game gives you an awful lot of leadership and you can't find any half decent units to hire, which is painful. Anyway, an artifact. Waiting in the countryside of a ferocious beast, the magistrate presents you with the Ring of Heroism and a piece of map to Stone Scepter. No thanks. Notice the way that we are when we exit a town, exit a castle, or say no to engaging. We are sent back the way we came. So if we walk westwards to reach that point, then when we are ejected, we will be sent east. And you can be in a position where you enter a town and when you got an army stack right behind you, and then when you exit the town, you get trapped. You can't get out of the town any other direction, and the army stack is waiting right outside, so you can't avoid the fight. And this is something you have to be very, very careful about at higher difficulty levels, because the army stacks can be rather unpleasant. So, anyway, the Ring of Heroism apparently is supposed to make the impossible possible and good stuff and ring lock and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I don't know how much that is the case. Let's just do some light scouting around here. There's another artifact on this, or in this, yeah, well, in this continent. There are 2 artifacts per continent. So the other one is probably inland somewhere. A week is 5 days, and every 5 days you will get on this overview. A week of the gnomes. All gnome dwellings are repopulated. If you hire the full number available of any troop in any dwelling, you have to wait for that troop's week to roll over again for those dwellings to be replenished. There's a special thing related to that, and that is a week of the peasants. If you have ghosts in your army or in your castles, then when the week of the peasants roll over, all your ghosts will be turned to peasants. That is not the case with the computer, obviously, or it wouldn't be much of a chance to face off against ghosts, but peasants are extremely weak and ghosts are not. So running around with ghosts in your army can be a bit of a gamble, because, I mean, you are going to spend the time one way or another, and you are bumping into the weak of the peasant at one point or another. So ghosts are not particularly nice anyway. They come with a bit of a downside. I'll quickly describe that. Ghosts, when they kill enemies, they will turn the enemies they kill into ghosts, basically. So the stack of ghosts you have will increase by the amount they killed, which sounds cool. But let's assume you've hired the maximum amount of ghosts that you can control because of your leadership. And then suddenly you get 30 ghosts more, and they go out of control because they their hit point total vastly surpasses your leadership ability. And now you suddenly have a stack of however many ghosts running around killing stuff. Either you hope that you have strong enough units to actually kill the ghosts, or you have loaded up with some turn on death spells which can obliterate undead. And if not, you are up the famous creek without the paddle, even. The cattle. Yeah, well, you neither have the cattle nor the paddle. So, anyways, peering through a magical orb, you are able to view the entire continent. Your map of this area is now complete. So we now have the map area, even area. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, words are challenging. I so love the way they've done it in this game because we now have the full map. But no, I don't care about you. Shut off. If we hit the M key for map, it still shows us the map we have explored. There's so many games that when you have unexplored maps and then you find a map of the area, it just shows you the explored map. So you have no clue where you've been. In this game, a game from 1990, they worked out that the player might want to know where they've been or not. So by hitting the spacebar, we can get the map we found. So we can compare and see where we need to search for stuff. It is such a simple thing, and it's such an excellent feature. I fully appreciate this game for having. But we are running on time, so let's go a bit around here to see if we can bump into something useful. I'm hoping to find elves and or druids. If I had to choose between the two, I would prefer to find elves first. And now we found a map describing the passage to Forestia. So we can actually get to another continent, which is tempting. The amount of gold that we get when we say no to, we get a scaling amount of leadership for saying no and giving it to the peasants instead. Threat pirate rob, no, okay. And of course, in other continents, we get more money offered, which means by saying no to that, we get more leadership bonus. So there is actually some sort of sense in going to one of the other continents, as long as you don't get into a fight with the stacks running around, because they are usually quite powerful. 150 walls? No, I think I'll pass. And much as I'm having fun doing this right now, in order to keep the video lengths at about half an hour, I mean, the files are not going to be huge, so it's not going to be an upload concern, but I think most people can handle a half an hour file here and there. So I'm going to end this part here. And when we come back, we are likely going to be doing a bit more exploration, but I'm sort of tempted to just go to Forestia immediately. I will decide when I get to that point. So as for now, thanks for watching. Take care, and see you then. Bye bye for now.